So then over here for the formulas, we see there's H2S. Well, it's two hydrogens because the sulfur's charge was -2. So if we were putting that formula together, we would see that we needed two hydrogens to make +2 to balance the -2 charge. Now, because it's just sulfur and there's no oxygens here, no polyatomic ion, we're going to use the prefix hydro. Then we use the ending ic for the element, sulfuric acid. This one has H2SO3. SO3 is a polyatomic ion and it ends in ite. It's sulfite. So we're going to change this to sulfurous acid. And this polyatomic ion is sulfate. So the ATE changes to ic. So this is sulfuric acid. And I think I said this at the beginning of the year when I taught this too, that it's important to know how to name these acids because these acids are all very different. If you come tell me you've spilled sulfuric acid, that means that everybody has to go sit down in their seats. I have to get out gloves and special equipment. I'm going to be the one to clean that up. Sulfuric acid is very strong. If you tell me you've spilled sulfurous acid, well, sulfurous acid is about the danger of vinegar or lemon juice. If you have a cut on your skin, it's going to sting a little bit, but you wash your hands and you'll be fine. Hydrosulfuric acid is kind of not much of anything. H2S is kind of like H2O. It's not very far off. So if you've spilled hydrosulfuric acid, I'm going to say, use a paper towel, maybe wash your hands when you're done, but you're fine, you're safe. So that's why it's important to know how to name these acids because they are very different. The last few here that I'm going to go over are actually not acids. You notice these don't say acid as part of the name, and these don't start with a hydrogen, and that's how we know they're not acids. They are actually bases, and you'll learn more about that as you get into the lessons next week. But we are going to review how to write their formulas and their names. So potassium hydroxide, you're going to look up their charges. Potassium is +1. Hydroxide is one of those special polyatomic ions, and it's very important to bases. It's very common. It's one of the things that indicates it's a base. And so the +1 and the -1 will balance each other, and we end up with KOH. Calcium carbonate. Calcium has a +2 charge. Carbonate is one of our polyatomic ions. It's CO3, and it has a -2 charge. So the +2 and the -2 balance each other, and we end up with CaCO3. For the names, we're just doing the names like we practiced at the beginning of the year. So you don't have to do much of anything to bases. Na is sodium, so that'll be the first name. And then CO3 is that polyatomic ion, carbonate. Here we have magnesium, Mg is magnesium. And then this OH, this special polyatomic ion, is hydroxide. Now in this case, there's two hydroxides, and we've put them in parentheses because the charge of magnesium was +2, and the charge of hydroxide is -1. So we've had to balance those charges by having two hydroxides. Please try to practice some of these. Let me know if you have any questions.